All right, we live, honey. We live.
Hey.
All right, so we here again. Fresh insight, new perspective. Tonight's chat is about friendship. So y'all know who I am. Zip Rock Motivation. Insight, new
Mm-hmm.
perspective.
Okay, I have to turn mine down.
Zip Mouth Motivation, and we have Dr. Sierra with us. So y'all go ahead and I'm gonna let her go ahead and introduce herself.
I was making sure I could share it here for a second.
Can you share it this time? I think you can.
Let me see. Just one moment.
I've been working on the mechanics, girl.
Yes. Let me see how I can share to everything's so different on your phone compared to
On the computer. Definitely that.
I don't even see the share on here as an option to share it from your zip mount. Hmm.
Hey everybody.
Hey, one second. If I can't get it, we'll just keep it moving. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah, it's not allowing me to share it. Let me see. I'll try one second. If not, we are gonna keep this party going. Let's see if I can share to. Oh, here we go. See on my computer.
It's different.
This it's not located on. Let's see.
Hey cousin, I saw you on my phone. That's why I knew it was you. It just say, hey, Facebook user StreamYard. You ain't trying to let us know
Okay.
now.
All right. So I shared. Thank you for your patience. So it's not an option on my phone, but here we go. All right. So I am glad to be here again. It is our second week. Yay! Thank you to the
Yay.
ones that showed up last week and to the new people that are signed on. My name is Dr. Sierra Davis. I am the owner of Holistic Soul Care, where I am passionate about all things holistic, all things wellness, as I believe that there's multiple ways to be healed. There's multiple ways to get help. Everyone who knows me probably knows by now that my passion, one of my passions in terms of professional passions, is mental health awareness and destigmatizing mental health support and really helping bring awareness with a special passion to communities of color who are often who often need extra support as it relates to mental health. So I do that as well as a lot of my background is in teaching as a counselor educator, and I've stepped out into the world of doing starting my own business where I am a holistic mental health. I'm a holistic mindfulness based life coach where I work on holistic mind, body, and soul while incorporating mindfulness and meditation and really encouraging people to tap into themselves. And I do some other things, trained in Reiki healing and trained in, just some other modalities. But I'm glad to be here with Zip Mouth Motivation.
Yay! Yay! So tonight's topic is about friendships. What are they? And so, like I told you before, I'm gonna let you go ahead and lead and give your perspective because I know people tired of hearing my perspective. They hear it on the podcast, they hear it all over the place because I be everywhere. So we gonna listen and then join in. And if you're on here, you can still. I'm gonna read out your comments from here.
Okay, yeah, because all I see is Facebook user. So,
Yeah.
okay, so the topic of friendship is one that, and I definitely want to hear your perspective as well, because I think the topic of friendship is something that I feel like it's talked about, but it's still not as talked about, which maybe we can get into why. I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, and then the topic comes up in individual sessions with clients as well, as it
Mhm.
relates to friendship, the needs, unmet needs, different things like that. So I'm really excited to get into this conversation today about friendship. What is it? Expectations, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
So I guess we'll start out by saying, how do we define friendship? How do you define it? Um, yeah, we can just go from there.
I think for me, I don't even want to say loyalty because loyalty should come with anything. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
I know for me, most of my friends are family members or my sisters. And then if you're a person that is on the outside of that, you become what I say a cousin. So now you became my cousin. You know what I'm saying?
I do hear you saying cousin a lot.
Yeah, I feel like cousin, so um but I mean, it's somebody that you care about, somebody that cares about you the same way that you care about them. I think my biggest issue with friendships now is that people, I don't think they know how to be friends. You know what I'm saying? Like they get it confused. It's like, this my friend, but I'm gonna talk down about them. This my friend, but I'm gonna be jealous of them. This my friend, but I'm gonna mess with, they man. Like it's to me, it's like crazy. It's like, that's not a friend. You know what I'm saying? And then we
Yes.
find ourselves like accepting those relationships back again. Like somebody does something to you because everybody has common sense. No matter what you say, no, everybody has common sense, and you know if something is right and you know if something is wrong. So I would say, like, to me, basically a friend is not jealous of you. No matter what happens, no matter what you receive that they don't receive, or what you have that they don't have,
Hmm.
they're not going to be jealous of you. They're not going to talk about you. They're not going to talk about you to anybody, because nobody can't come to me about my friends. You can't come to me about any of my friends and say anything negative, because I'm going to have something to say, like, no, they might be wrong. I'm gonna tell them later, like, you was wrong for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you shouldn't have did that. Like, that was totally not in the plan of what we talked about. But at the same time,
Keep it
at the
real.
same right, at the same time, you can't come to me and say nothing about my friend. You know what I'm saying? So I think that people, um, especially females, because I find that lately I've been watching a lot of little stuff where females are like hurting their friends, killing it. I'm like, what? What?
Yeah.
What? Like, people are saying they got into a fight with their friend. You got into a fight with your friend. Oh, what? Why? And so it's kind of like, then how do you be friends? Like, how do you define what friends is, especially in today's society? Because people think, or they've been told, like, oh, conflict is okay. It's healthy to argue with somebody. It's healthy to have a disagreement. And a disagreement is meaning, like, we have different opinions,
Hmm.
but it's not healthy to say I love you and then beat you up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Right.
not healthy. It's not healthy to say you my friend and we hanging out, but then later on I'm gonna go with your boyfriend, or I'm
Right.
going with your girlfriend. That's not
Right.
healthy. That's not
Hmm.
healthy. And I don't know where like where the trajectory got mixed up, where we think that that's friends and we're okay with those behaviors. Because what happened? You know what I'm saying? A friend is not someone that controls you, but they're going to tell you when you're wrong.
Hmm.
And then they still going to love you.
Hmm.
I'm not going to say that I never got into a disagreement with a friend, because I have one friend who has very strong opinions. And so I have a strong opinion too, even though her opinion is loud and mine is a little bit softer. But I'm gonna say my opinion, you say your opinion, and then we both crying and we disagreeing. But at the same time, at the end of the
Hmm.
day, we're gonna come back and say, I love you, I understand what you're saying, but I'm still gonna do this. Or you was right, I'm gonna do this.
Hmm.
So I guess all bottled in one is just somebody who you really love. And I guess if you don't really know what love is, or you never experience love, then you're not going to be able to be a good friend until you. And I said I'm not talking about this no more, loving yourself. Because if you don't know how to love yourself, as many people talking about it right now,
Yeah.
we got to pull this together. Because I'm tired of loving yourself now. After you love
Yeah.
yourself, what else we doing after that? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Let's start moving forward from
Yeah.
love yourself, love yourself, love yourself. But that's just my
Exactly.
opinion.
Yeah. And when you were talking about you don't know how people don't love themselves. what you had said is what I was thinking about, is some people don't understand what love means. And not just a romantic love, but a love that's unconditional, a love that, will be there no matter what. So many people, and I've seen a lot of people in some of the groups I'm in say the same thing. Like, I don't know how to be a friend. Like, I don't know how to do it. I'm older. And I think a lot of it is social skills. I think a lot of it is relocation. Yeah, we'll get to that point. So, because that's a good point about thinking about barriers to forming this. And I agree with what you said. Loyalty, honesty, um, having each other's back. I saw a definition, and it was saying, it was a couple that I wrote down and said, a state of a mutual trust and support between allied nations. And I like that, mutual, which means it goes back and forth. Like when I teach about communication is a two-way process. It's
Right.
not one person communicating and it falling on a brick wall. It goes both ways.
We both talking, right?
Exactly. So it's mutual trust and support. And so I find a lot of times people, and I found that with myself, hence why I've started to have boundaries and say, start cutting people off, is because if there's not a mutual thing going on where um, you can trust me, but I can't trust you, that's a problem.
Right. And so remember, we talked about that last time because
Yeah.
people say to me, well, I have friends I can tell certain things to, but I can tell this to this friend, but I can't tell why. Why? So why can't you tell the same things to the same friend? So obviously you feel something with that friend. So then that's not your friend.
hmm
You know
And
what I'm
and
saying?
right, and name them accordingly. That's what I've been learning too, even in my own life. It's okay to categorize people for where they are. I do think that friendship is something that is thrown around a lot, and I think it's probably just for a sense of comfort, feeling like, okay, this is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
But yet, if things don't line up, then a lot of times it's a recipe for unmet needs and things like that. So I think if we do categorize people and really based on the support that they give, it'll help alleviate a lot of the disappointment that can happen from people, that friend not doing what we feel like they should do. It was another definition that said, and I like this one. This one kind of fit with more kind of how I see friendship personally. It said a state of enduring affection. So enduring meaning not giving up, something that just lasts for a while. A state of
Right.
enduring affection, esteem, intimacy, and trust between two people. And I like
Right.
that, because for some people, and I find that a lot. I don't know if it's a Florida thing. Don't judge me. This is not my state of origin, but I find it. Maybe it's culturally. Maybe it's not statewide. Maybe it's culturally. But I see a lot of people throwing around like friend, 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 like besties, first, second time seeing each other. And for me, this is more how I define it. For me, it's more about something that endures. Now, I also feel like we can't judge longevity as it relates to um, something that's real. Like, oh, we've been
Right.
friends since college, so we're friends now.
Right.
So,
Mm-mm.
but I do
Mm-mm.
think that to get that definition, whether we started, 5 years ago or 10 years ago, there has to be some type of relationships, something that has endured where we've stood through some things. Um,
Right.
and I do think there's an intimacy. Many people think the intimacy is just sex, it's just like romantic bonds, but intimacy is really getting deep with each other, really going below the surface level.
Right.
That
Right.
honesty, what you talked about, that
Right.
connection. And so if we're just surface level all the time, not mean that you have to tell me, your deepest, darkest secret. But if
Right.
it's just, hey girl, we're gonna go here, we're gonna do this, um, and there's no, no,
No heart to heart.
yeah,
Like
no,
no real
exactly,
conversation
no
as
heart
to
to heart.
Right.
That's not how I define friendship. That's associate level, where we're basically just kind of just chatting.
Right. Because
And
the
there's
heart to
nothing wrong
heart
with
is the
it.
heart to
Hmm.
heart is where the intimacy takes place. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like really telling someone like this is who I am. Not even telling them what's going on, but just telling them this is who I am to see like if we even mesh, like if we're even on the same level because you could be a friend to somebody and they're not a friend to you. You know what I'm saying? So you have to have those intimate moments sometimes where you're just talking and it's not like we're going here, we're going there, we're doing this, we're doing that. You just come into my house or we meeting somewhere and we're
Yeah.
just talking, we're just having a conversation, an intimate conversation. And like you, I like how you said like it's okay to compartmentalize, and I think people are afraid to like compartmentalize their
True.
relationships with people. Like this is my associate, but this is my close associate.
Hmm.
This is my friend. I just met her 2 weeks ago, but this is my friend because in all my dark times, she's been here. So this
Right.
is my friend. Okay, so this is my associate, and we used to go to church together. We grew up together, but this is my associate because when I need this person is never around. But I don't have an issue with that person. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, I think people think like if they're not your friend, then you have an issue with them. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying?
I agree. I think that's how people think. Like, friends meaning we're on good terms, associate meaning, yeah. I think that's true.
So we have to like break the it's like you have to be comfortable saying like this is my associate and not being offended by it. But social media blows it up because it's like, okay, all these people on your Facebook, Instagram, whatever, these your friends. Well, they not your friends. They just the social media people who added you, and some of them you know, and some of them you don't know. You know what I'm saying? But you look for these like this certain amount of likes and you look for this and you think, oh, my friends love me, but these people don't even know you. Some of them not even reading what you put and they just scrolling and like,
Hmm.
okay, I like, because they might think you nice looking or they might think, oh well, you do something really good and I seen it before. So it's just like you have to compartmentalize, you know what I'm saying, like separate. But I think because people accept anything, they accept any behavior now, it's
Mm.
kind of like they don't know how to separate a true friendship from associate to
Ooh, that's
a
deep.
robotic friendship. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't know how to
Mhm.
separate who is who. You know what I'm saying? Like we grow up with our cousins or like our blood cousins and we say, well, these are our friends. Well, those are cousins for real. And you
Mhm.
might not be able to, some people don't get along with their cousins. You know
True.
what I'm saying? So now you have these friends and it's like, oh well, this is my friend, but it's not
Hmm.
your friend because your friend see you somewhere and they jealous of your outfit, they jealous that you got a new car, they jealous that your life is different from them. That's not your friend. That's
Hmm.
that's not your friend at all, because
Hmm.
a friend is, like you said, going to endure. Not only that, they're gonna be excited when you excited, when you
Yeah.
happy they're gonna be happy, when you
Right.
sad they like, well, what we got to do, because
Exactly.
like who did it, let's go ahead and get them, whatever. What we doing now, so.
That's true.
But I think that we are confusing it, so then it leaves people feeling depressed, it leaves them feeling frustrated, it leaves them feeling like nobody loves them and nobody wants to be around them and I don't have any friends. But you haven't hey, Miss
Hey,
Joanne.
Joanne.
So we haven't compartmentalized our friendships in order to have stable friendships. You know what I'm
It's-
saying?
Right. And when I talk to people about like how they feel, especially if they feel like they're not getting their needs met, I'll say, well, how do you define friendship? What do
Mm,
you need to feel like that person is a friend? What do you need? The topic is friendship tonight, Joanne. Friendship. How do we feel about them? How do we define them? Um, anything important about friendship? Thanks for joining. And so I'll say, what are your what do you feel like you need as it relates to friendship? Now, this is going to lead to my question. Um, and I'll share. So I'll say, like, what do you need? What do you feel? It's often imbalance between expectations and what they're receiving.
right.
So I feel like they should. be calling me or they should check up on me, and I'm always the one checking up. You're welcome. I'm always the one checking up on them. And I find that it's often an imbalance between, and sometimes the people, their friends, don't know what they stand for. Sometimes they do and they still don't. So, my question to you, and even to the people in the chat, is as you're trying to develop friendship, do you feel that a conversation should be had with your people that you're considering being friends with about expectations, friendship expectations? Or do you feel like it should just be organic and people should just kind of know? Like kind of like we do, a lot of people tend to like love languages. That's a very popular,
Mhm.
it's taken on its own life
Right.
outside of like the psychological world. But kind of like that, like, oh, okay, well, you know, Damasha, I think you would be a really good friend of mine. Um, what's important to you, and having that conversation to see that you would be a good fit. What do you think about that? Or do you think that that could help as people are trying to, make sure that they kind of both people on the same page?
I guess for me, it's probably a little bit different because I'm big on energy. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm real big on energy. I'm big on like, it's not even about the appearance.
Mm-hmm.
One person said, I feel like we should communicate if we're going to hold someone accountable. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Very
Yes.
true. Very true. Very true. Hold on, Mr. Derrick said, he said, I have put people in cool zones. You can be cool on certain levels. And he said, now for me, I'm looking more for partnerships than friendships.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard that a lot because I've heard that a lot. But I'm gonna say my piece. So um as far as me, I'm big on energy. It's about the person for me. You know what I'm saying? Like I find myself gravitating more to people who people think like, oh, well, they a bad person or they did this in the past. That you know what I'm saying? So I find myself gravitating more to people like that because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like to me, those are the people that are the solid people. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like they're going to be solid because they've been through something. So I can communicate with them on a level
Mm-hmm.
of like I've been through something, you've been through something, we have something in common. You know what I'm saying? Or just all around energy, just like this is a good person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I really have to feel that connection for me to say like this is my friend
Mm-hmm.
and we gonna hang out and we gonna talk every other day or whatever. Me personally, I'm not that friend that you have to call every day. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel any type of way if I don't hear from you for a week or if we're just texting like how you doing, you know, because I'm a
Mm-hmm.
loner. You feel what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of friends, but I'm more like, hey, I'm just checking on you. Or, you know, we may talk randomly. You know what I'm saying? But like Mr. David said, I'm with the partnership now because if you say like we're a partner and we doing something together,
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're investing your time and your energy, and I'm investing my time and my energy.
Mm-hmm.
And during that process, we definitely may become close friends. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Because we have something that we're digging into together.
Mm-hmm. And that's a good point. Going to Derek's point, maybe there's a chance for partners to go more to friendship because you have that shared passion for whatever the project is, compared to maybe trying to have friends that you might want to do business with, but there's not really that shared thing. Okay,
Right.
yeah, I think I agree with I can't see the name, but the person that said communicating, we definitely have to, and that's a challenge for a lot of people. That's a challenge for me personally. I have to push myself because I can tend to be to sometimes to a certain point where I can be so annoyed that I'm like, especially after a
You
while.
right. You
After a while, I mean,
annoyed.
I'm very patient, but after a while, if
Right.
I start seeing behaviors, I'm like, that's a personal growth area for me, is that of
Right.
patience and of um yeah, just a just a patience. I think that for me, friendships, the enduring part, there has to be a communication. And for me, I'm a bit different from you, where it relates to like engagement, because for me, I define friendship as sort of not necessarily high level, but for you to be in my friend zone, there needs to be some sort of consistency in terms of communicating. So that's really
Mm.
important to me. Like, we don't have to talk every day, But if you're somebody that I said we are friends, we should be communicating like on some type of regular basis, whether that's like, hey, email, like, hey girl, via email, a quick text. Because I find that people sometimes people are easy to say friendships, and in my groups they call it low maintenance friends or high maintenance. As it relates to high maintenance, meaning a lot of engagement and some are low. And that's where I do think that there should be, at least in my view, there should be a shared agreement on what people feel like they need. Because if I don't know what you need, like Damasha, and then like if you're a person that's like, yay, check in with me like every week, like a text or something or a meme, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm with the groups called low maintenance, I might feel like, oh, we cool, like we don't have to talk for 2 months, but you might feel like, man, you ain't think about me, or. And so for me, for me personally, I'm more of a, in terms of what I value more engagement. Um, Again, not long conversations, but like, hey, I'm thinking about you, because for me, I'm more on the sentimental side. I think I finally realized that over just working on myself, is
Mm-hmm.
that I'm much more sentimental than people think I am. I'm much more emotional than people think I am, in terms of, I guess because I'm always giving to others, that I don't always feel like people give to me back. And so for me, as I've done my own inner work, I've become more diligent on communicating my needs, and also
Right.
having boundaries as it relates to, well, I can't be the one always giving. I can't be the one. And this is a lot of us helpers,
Right.
a lot of
Right.
us, pastors, life coaches, or just empathic people, where we tend to naturally give. But I've found that if it's not reciprocated, the giver needs to be a receiver as well, or
Right.
it'll be imbalanced. So if you're in my friend zone, there should be some sort of like, hey girl, or something. But
Right. Right.
that's just me, and I think all of us are different, and have different needs. I think one of the things I saw too is, um, I was reading some research yesterday, and how it was talking about how some people have a feeling of, that they think that being lonely or being by yourself means, or not necessarily having a lot of friends means that something's wrong with you, or
Right.
assuming that just because someone has a lot of friends or people around them, that they're not lonely. And we'll kind of get into this loneliness conversation. And so I think
Right.
it's, when I'm helping people, it's realizing, what do you need, and how can you, going back to the other person on Facebook, how can you communicate that and have boundaries for what you need and what you don't? Because that's important as well. All right,
I
someone said, I'm sorry.
I was gonna read it. You can read it though. Go ahead.
Okay, a friend is someone I can depend on to hold their commitment, yes, commitment, or communicate if they can't. And with any relationship, a friendship is reciprocal energy. A friend doesn't
Mm-hmm.
judge and is honest with me in hard times. That's beautiful. That's
I love
beautiful.
that. That sounds like wow.
Yes,
And
commitment,
if
like somebody who not gonna be here today and gone tomorrow, like you in it, like, I know if I call, I posted on my thing on my Facebook, a quote that said, if you call at 4 a.m., if you're so sad, if you call at 4 a.m. and you're so sad that you can't speak on the phone, I'll listen to your silence till you fall asleep.
oh
And
yeah, I
that's what
love
makes me
that.
think of that, is because, a friend is going to be committed. They're not going to just be here today, gone tomorrow. um, or if they can't, they're going to communicate to you that, and not just leave you, ghosting.
Not just leave you hanging. Right, right. And but I like the way the communication, like if people learn to just talk to each other in the beginning, and then when you talked about love languages, every time someone says they have a conflict, like every time my client or somebody says they have a conflict,
Hmm.
I asked them, well, does that person know like what your love language is? Because your love languages may be different. So they may love you and may care about you, but
Hmm.
it's just not what you're used to, because that's not their
Hmm.
love language. So like if you have friends, you have to accept like what their love language is. Because like if you're a friend and you say, well, Damasha, for me to feel like we are friends, I have to have something from you. Okay, I'm going to try to do that for you. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm your friend and I want you to know. But then on the flip end, like if I don't do it every day, that don't mean I don't love you. I mean, I love you and I'm still your friend, but I'm trying. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
that means you have to come outside of yourself a little bit. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying? And so, like, I feel like people forget that when you have a friend, you have to compromise some kind of way in order
Mm-hmm.
to keep building on that relationship. You know what I'm saying? It's not like
Yes.
take. This my
Mm-hmm.
friend, and yeah, she like to give because I'm a big giver. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
she like to give, but then you just taking, but you're not inputting anything into me. And then I think on some levels, I feel like we don't pay attention to our friends, the people that we say are our friends. We're
Mm-hmm.
not paying attention to what their needs are or what they're talking about or on what level they need us, because it's kind
Mm-hmm.
of like we've been taking so long. We've been taking, and
That's
not
me.
giving back. You know what I'm saying? So I think it kind of goes two ways. I think somebody else said something. It says people have to feel the love, and you have to know their portal to their heart, true and
Oh,
soul. That's very
that
nice.
is
Like I
deep.
like that. Like you have to know that. Yes, you have to know that portal to their. You have to
Right.
know what their love. What thrives their love. Like what is it? You know what I'm saying? To really consider, like, this is my friend. I know this is my friend because she calls me or she texts me or she just comes and gives a gift. I like giving my friends gifts. It don't matter what it is. It could be anything. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It could be like I was in the store and I saw a bracelet. Yeah, the bracelet was probably like $3, but I
It was
thought
the
this would be
thought.
cute for you. You know
Exactly.
what
And it
I'm
was the
saying?
thought. Exactly.
So I
Exactly. And
get
from
it.
I get it. And I agree with that. Like, and in order to know like the portal to their heart and soul, the way to get in, the way to connect, it takes time. That's that intimacy that now, like I said, it doesn't take years, but it takes, having some conversations, those heart to hearts to know, okay, wow, allowing ourselves to open up to receive it. I think we talked about that last week is some of us givers are easy or more comfortable giving, but we have to also know that we can receive as well. So that
Right.
humility to open our hearts so that people can understand us and
Right.
can connect with us in that way as well. All
Well, I
right, so I'm
think.
going to shift a
Oh.
little bit because
Mhm.
we had talked about one of the things that I've been reading some research on, and that's been coming through the counseling desk is that all your phones freezing. John, I know it's storming out here, so hopefully we stay connected. So a lot of the information that's come through uh, in my lens, where I read a lot of stuff through the counseling, is this concept of which is not a new concept, of loneliness. And we all know that with COVID really taking over for the past, what, we're on the third year, but things are opening up,
Mm,
that loneliness really has started becoming a spotlight,
right.
especially in the counseling world that I have been in for a while. Is that people have realized, if they didn't already pre-COVID, that life often isn't the way they want it to be, and connections with people aren't
Right.
always the way they want them to be. And so I just wanted to bring some, just a few research. I won't go into the studies, but up to about 80% of individuals, and I'm sure this is updated because this was in 2010, up to 80% of individuals less than 18 years old reported feeling lonely at least sometimes. About 40% of people older than 65 report being lonely, which we know increased loneliness increases with advanced age.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Psychiatrist Frida Riekman, she published an article called "Loneliness" in 1959 in the journal called Psychiatry Journal for the Study of Interpersonal Process. And she defines loneliness as not as a state of being alone, but as a lack of intimacy, and that this plays an integral role in mental health issues. Um, we know in counseling research that loneliness isn't just emotionally painful, but it does lead to sickness and possibly death. So this,
Right.
what we're talking about, loneliness isn't just, oh, we're just talking about girl kikiing, but the implications for friendship and loneliness really goes deeper. Um, and I'm always going to connect to how things work in terms of mental health. Being alone isn't the same as being lonely. So being
Right.
physically alone, perception from research shows that perception is the difference. When loneliness stays, is that's the problem. So it's the perception. So we know that just because someone's physically by themselves, they can have a great high sense of mental wellness, well being, and
Right.
also that there's many people who typically might have a lot of friends, but they're lonely. So we can't assume that as well. Other research shows that loneliness in middle age and older adults is an independent risk factor for physical inactivity. So if you know, a lot of times people who might be physically inactive, you might be, we might think, oh, they're just lazy, or oh, they don't want to do anything. But sometimes, and then this study, that loneliness was a risk factor. So it might not have been that they just didn't want to do anything. It might have been that they didn't have the social support that they felt to get them up and out of the house. So um, those who enjoy, this is another study, those who enjoy friendships over their teenage years have a lower rate of depression later in life. I thought that was interesting. So, especially for
Very
a lot of you all
interesting.
that have children, yes, we want them to get out, but there's mental health implications for children to really have a good, solid friend group. So that they can, it alleviates it. So I just wanted to throw that out there, not to stay on the research, but to tell everyone that this is important. It's not just, sometimes I think in social media, it's like, it's more of a, oh girl, this is my friend and we're going to hang out, we're going to do brunch. But the topic of true friendship and feeling like you belong to a community of people, or
Right.
a few people, really can affect someone if they don't have it and if they do have it. So
Right. If they don't feel like they belong, or
yeah.
if they don't get what it is they think they should receive from a friend, or like I said, big social media is big because people think like if I don't get this many likes, then people don't appreciate what I said, or people don't like me, or they don't like this. Or, so it begins to play on their mind. You know what I'm saying? Because it says these are my friends, but those are not your friends. You know what I'm saying? Because some of them you don't even know them on an intimate level. So now you feel lonely because, and I've heard a lot of people lately say, a lot of clients say, like, well, I posted such and such and nobody liked it.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, like, it's not about the likes because some people just going through liking stuff. They not
Hmm.
reading it, they not connecting with it, they just liking it. It's about the people who really just read it and scroll, because those are the ones that are like, the people who are looking for you to do something. They're looking, they're not even acknowledging that you did it, because you should
Hmm.
not have to have that acknowledgement. But that's the state
Yes.
that we came in. Like that's the place that go back to self-love. And I'm trying not to talk about it. Not that I don't think people should love themselves, but I honestly think as much self-love stuff we've been talking about, y'all, we got to start taking steps to love ourselves. We can't
Hmm.
keep shouting self-love, because that's where that loneliness comes from. That's where that not accepting true friendships comes from, and or understanding what it is to be a friend or have a friend comes from, because you don't appreciate the person that you are and know, like, I'm the light. Like even if you're not the light for nobody else except for yourself. So
Hmm.
you start feeling like nobody cares about me. No, but I always ask people, like, well, do you care about yourself? Yeah,
Hmm.
I love myself, but then you're not displaying that you
Hmm.
love yourself, because you feel like you are codependent on this and you have to have this person in your life, but this person is disrespecting you or treating you wrong, or you know what I'm saying, this person turned on you, but you still gravitate into that person because you feel like that's the only friend that I have. But it's not. You got to
Yeah.
be a friend, like, to yourself first. You got to know, like, I love myself and I'm friendly to myself,
Hmm.
and then start accepting people into your life so you can compartmentalize. This is a true friend. This is what I need. Like having standards
Hmm.
as to what you need in a friendship and what someone should be able to give to you in a friendship. And guess what? If they can't give it to you, that doesn't mean that you can't talk to them, or that you can't get along with them, or that you can't even go to dinner with them. That just means that's not your friend, that's your associate.
Hmm.
That's, you know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
don't think people understand, like, it's okay. Like, it's really okay if you
Yeah.
don't have all these friends. It's okay if you have 2 friends and then everybody else is somebody that you might hang out with from time to time.
Mhm.
You're not able to be
Right.
intimate with them for whatever reason. And it doesn't say that they're a bad person. It just says, I'm not able to do this with this person.
Yeah. And yeah,
Okay.
and I think a lot of people equate likes and amount of friends with value, with, well, I have all of these people like my posts, so that means I'm valuable. It means that, what I gave is helpful. And
Right.
that self-love and that self-value comes where you're able to say, if no one likes my post, then I know that it's still a good post. I know that I'm still valuable. Whether or not
Right.
someone validates me, it's not important. Why? Because your validation comes internally. It doesn't come externally. I was talking to
Right.
someone recently about this, and we were talking about, feeling good about one's accomplishments.
Mm.
And what I was communicating is, whether someone or no one pats you on the back and says good job, or you did a good job, as we continue to talk about, self-love and start to build on that internal, you're going to start to say, you know what, I'm proud of myself because I tried. Everything
Right.
will come internally. Well, you know what, I could have gave up. Not,
Right.
oh, such and such told me I was good and then that made me feel good about myself. There's nothing wrong with
Right.
it. But the problem becomes if that is not there, if that
Right.
person's, if that phone call doesn't come, if people don't show up to the graduation, if no one doesn't say happy birthday to you, or no one celebrates you on that new car, whether you have that or not, you know that it's an accomplishment. Why? Because you did it yourself. And that's a lot of the work that takes time
Oh, it
in life
does.
coaching in the mental health space is, you know, really getting to the point where that external validation means less than that internal. And I find a lot of
Exactly.
times that when people haven't had a lot of parental support growing up, especially adults, where they had a lot of supports of people saying, you did a good job, or you really, feeding into them, sometimes it leads to people going outside to find it. And then if it's not there, then they're depleted. And so, a lot of our work with people is how can we rewire that so that you provide that satisfaction for yourself.
Right.
And what other people say or don't say means nothing. It
Right.
means nothing to who you are as a person. And it's really building a lot out of that foundational sense of self, um,
Right.
that takes a lot of time to weed through some of the stuff that people have gone through. So,
It definitely takes time. I
yes.
know one thing I tell my clients to do is I tell them to write down like their standards and their values.
Hmm.
What are your standards and then what are your values? And then when you get into that space to where you feel lonely, you feel depleted from nobody, or you feel like nobody's accepting you or accepting what you've done or patting you on the back or congratulating you, that you say, you know what? Let the first one be I value myself. And I tell my kids all the time, you have to be your own cheerleader.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'm not going to be there at every game because I
Hmm.
may have something that come up. You can't always look for me. You have to be like, I did good. I did good. Like, I'm proud of me. And it's okay. I think they get to a place where they're scared to celebrate themselves
Oh, that's
because
good. Yeah.
like even in society it makes you feel like when you celebrate yourself, oh, people like, oh, well, that person thinks she all that, or he think he all that. What's wrong with saying I did a great job? What's wrong with being excited for your accomplishments? Because I don't know about everybody else, but I know I've been through stuff in my life that I'm
Hmm.
like, oh my God, I made it. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? Like my body hurt, my face hurt, but I'm excited. You don't know what I've been through to get to this point.
Yeah.
All you know is that I'm at this point, but you don't know you know what I'm saying? And so you have to, no matter what anybody says about you, you have to know that it's okay to celebrate yourself. It's okay to be excited for you, and then everybody else can be excited if they want to, but if they
Right.
don't want to, I'm still excited for me. I'm still happy.
Exactly.
I accomplished XYZ goal and I'm here. And that's
Exactly.
okay. But like society has made us feel like, oh, if this person celebrates themselves, then no, and that's the ego. It's jealousy. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So when you find that in a friend or you find that in an associate, then that's someone that you don't need to be attached to,
Mm-hmm. That's
because
good.
people are going to, when you're celebrating, I'm going to celebrate. I'm on people posts, I'm calling people. I might not stay at every event for a long amount of time, but if you invite me and I come, I'm like, hey, I got a little gift, a bottle of wine, something. You know what I'm saying? It's like 15, 20 minutes. All right, I got to go. But my schedule is busy. But I want you to know, like, I'm celebrating you. I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited for you. I'm happy for you. And then if you come with that dooming, I'm like, what's wrong with you? Why are you looking like that? What
Mm-hmm.
happened? No, be excited for yourself. Just because
Yeah.
people are not accepting to what you've done doesn't mean you haven't done a good job.
Exactly. And celebrating yourself, when I was having a conversation, that's one of the things we talked about, is one of the things to ways to really start to build that sense of self and that sense of being proud of yourself is celebrating yourself. I spend a lot of time
Mm,
talking to people about that. And a lot of people are very uncomfortable with that. They're very uncomfortable with that conversation. Um, it's easier to pat someone else on the back, which that's a whole nother conversation about unpacking why it's easier to celebrate others instead of self, which that's a whole nother conversation. Um, but that's hard for many people to receive, is um, let's work on celebrating all of your wins, um, especially, and I hear this a lot too with people, a lot of people who have mental health difficulties. Some people, like, the only thing I did was get out of bed today. Well, that's something we need to celebrate. You know why? Because
exactly.
you were able to do that in spite of everything that's going on. And so, I'm really big on teaching people we have to celebrate all the wins. And as providers, is helping people, helping clients realize their wins, and pausing and letting and celebrating them as well, so that they can then do it. So it's modeling that as well. Okay, this is good stuff. All right, so I have a question. And this is for people in the chat as well. Why do you think it's sometimes hard to maintain friendships? Why do you think it's sometimes hard to maintain friendships?
I think a major part comes with accepting who a person is, accepting who that person is. Um, and then a little bit of it is, I feel like sometimes people go into friendships with ill will. You know what I'm saying? Like they see a person and they see glitz and glam, and then, okay, I want to be attached to that person because of XYZ thing. And
Mm-hmm.
so now you have to determine if this is a true friendship or is
Mm-hmm.
this just an attachment. You know what I'm
Ooh,
saying?
that's good. That's
And
good.
so I think people see something and they think like, I want to be this person's friend, but they're not prepared to be that person's friend, or that person is not prepared to be their friend. So then we got like this, like I
Imbalance.
said, friend, we got this imbalance of, they really don't accept who I am or accept what I do, or you know what I'm saying? I teach my kids like, don't worry about friends, because the people that love you, if you loud, if you, like I said, I have a friend, she's very aggressive in her talking, but I
Mm-hmm.
love her and I understand where she coming from, and I know like really she a softie in the inside. She just
Mm-hmm.
a, but nobody else can receive her that way. You know what I'm saying? It's always like, oh, she rude, but she's really not rude. She just outspoken. Is That's just who she is. So
Mm-hmm.
when you start to accept people, you'll hold on to friendships,
Mm-hmm.
not changing who they are, but just accepting like, okay, that's who they is. Like that's what they do. Well, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like most of our friends know I'm gonna show up and then I'm gonna be gone, and they're gonna be calling me like, you left? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And not, they just know who I am. But those
Mm-hmm.
are my friends. Now it's people that have said I'm your friend and they get offended because like I'll come and show up for a little bit and then I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? But other people know like, well, that's just the conscience. She just, that's just who she is. She gonna come, she gonna tell a few jokes, and then she gonna be out the door. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? Or she gonna sit somewhere, she gonna speak to everybody, and she gonna be busy on her phone. And not to be rude to the people, but like my life like boom, 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 boom. It's like a movie sometimes.
Mhm.
So I have to. I want you
Keep
to
it
know
moving.
I want you to know I care and I'm here, but I also got like 20,000 emails and 52 text
Mhm.
messages. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? So, but I'm here. You know what I'm saying? What you need? You want me to clean up? I'm a good cleanup girl. You know what I'm saying? So after everything done, I'm gonna stay to the end sometime. I might be in my car, but I'm gonna clean up. I'm coming back in, I'm cleaning up, but I'm busy. You know what I'm saying? But just accepting is why we can't hold on. We can't hold on because we don't accept who people truly are.
Yeah, not making
Um,
people who we want them to be, but accepting them.
Somebody said people need to be real with themselves on what they expect from friendships. Okay, you must have expectations, but they should be open to differences. I've lost friendships because they had expectations of me that wasn't interested in that they wasn't interested in providing. Wow, that's good. That's deep.
Mhm.
That's deep because you do have to be you got to put your expectations out there. That's what we talked
Mhm.
about in the beginning, like having a
Mhm.
solid communication
Yeah.
as to what my needs are. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But then you have to adjust because Dr. Sierra just told me her needs are like I I have to have some kind of communication. So that means for me to be her friend, I have to work on the communication. How you doing? Okay, what's going on? But if I when I didn't know that, I couldn't provide that thing for her. So once you put your expectations out there, you got to decide if you want to accept those
Right. Mhm.
expectations.
And if it's something that you can give, and that's nothing wrong. Kind of going back to, it's a balance. It's a balance, like what you said about, um, being flexible in terms of, okay, I know I need to grow. I need to, I can't be so rigid and say everybody got to be like me and do. So I know I need to do some giving, but also if there's certain things that you can't budge on, that's going back to what we talked about last week, your values or certain
Mhm.
ways that you do yourself, that are non-negotiable, those things, that's just who you are. And so the other person needs to be reciprocal as well. But yeah, if there's not, if those expectations you're not willing to provide, then that's a major imbalance, and a decision will have to be made. um because both people aren't going to feel like their needs are met.
Right.
Joanne says true friendship is very important to me. True, and knowing you, it really is. You're one of the most loyal people I know, honestly. Communication is one of the most important things in a relationship, truly. Whether that's, we tend to talk about that as it relates to, romantic. I feel like that's the safe zone for communication.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
people know, okay, communication, but friendship, I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. It's kind of like the elephant in the room, but we'll talk about, communicating with our man and woman. But when it comes to friendships, I don't
We
know if
don't say
we're
nothing.
having these conversations. And it stands for both. I agree. One of the things I want to go back to what you were saying, Damasha, was when you said sometimes people are only around for the association. And that's something that I found, and we have to weed out, like, who are, what are people's intentions and who's who. And that's all normal because, as we meet new people, we're all, I think it's even unconsciously, even if we're not looking for friends, we're trying to understand people. We're trying to figure out, how people move and where we want people at. And I find that a lot more so than growing up with certain people that I've known, but just especially recently, it's like people want to be associated with who I am or who I know, or and again, a lot of it is me trying to figure out friendships versus partners. But I notice a
Mhm.
lot of people's motives is based on how I can promote their business, how and but it's in the guise of friendship, and it's tricky sometimes, because especially as you're new to a new place and you're interacting, I'm finding that many people, and again, I'm still kind of going back to what Derek said, thinking about partnership and friendship. I find
Mhm.
a lot of people only want to be connected to you if you can hype them up, specifically hype their business, or specifically do something for them related to business wise. And again, maybe they're thinking partnership, but I find that there's often some ulterior motives in terms of, I'm connecting with you, Kikian, but really it's only about how you can give to me. So it's one dimensional.
Right.
And so anytime I'm going through that, I always, like you said, fall back on energy and on spirituality. Okay, where am I going today? So kind of, this is kind of the foundation of kind of why oftentimes I don't go to everything people invite me to, why I might not stay long. And it's not personal, but if I feel something's off, or if I feel like there's some type of ulterior motive, I'm out. Like the days of hanging around and the days of like waiting stuff out. No, I know typically my intuition is typically right. And when I don't follow it, that's where I'm like, yep, I already knew.
Right.
And because I often try to give benefits of the doubt. So that's for me personally, is like I found it's a lot of ulterior motives of people wanting to, it's really interesting.
Well, I'll say that's a tricky space, and I'm gonna say it's a tricky space is because sometimes, like, if you've been hurt, you know what I'm saying. Like, if you've been hurt by friendships, every everything could look like a ulterior motive. You know what I'm saying? Everything
Yeah.
could. So you have to be careful and you have to judge properly. And
Hmm.
then you have to ask the question. I don't know why people are afraid to ask questions. Like, is this are we trying to go into a friendship, or are we going into a partnership? So then I can
Hmm.
separate the two. You know what
That's
I'm
good.
saying? And just ask. You know what I'm saying? I tell
Hmm.
people sometimes you can depend on your intuition, but then you have to remember that you have some traumas, you have some hurts, you have some
That's
pains,
true.
you have some frustrations. So you don't want to disconnect from something that could be ultimately a great friendship or a great partnership
Hmm.
because you think, well, this person just wants to get close to me because of this connection. And I'm not saying you per se, I'm just saying in general,
Hmm.
just be careful with that area
Yep.
because people miss out on quote unquote their blessing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because of things that they went through in their life. And so it's
Yeah.
compiled onto, like, everything looks tricky now. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Because I remember being in a space like that where
Hmm.
everything was like, no,
Hmm.
I'm already, like a loner. So it's already kind of
Yeah.
like, I always like my own space. I want to do my own thing.
Hmm.
But at the same time, you have to be very careful with that space. Ask the question.
Hmm.
You will feel it when you ask someone
Hmm.
a direct question like, what are we doing here? Are we
Exactly.
friends or are we partners? You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? Well, are you hanging out with me? Just ask them.
Yep.
And they're gonna get two things are gonna happen. Either they're gonna get offended, well, then there was your answer,
Hmm. And
or
that
they're
goes
gonna say, "Oh no, like no, I'm trying, like I want to be cool, like I want." Okay, well, I'm just asking for me because I'm feeling this way. That goes back
exactly.
to communication.
It
You
goes
know what
right
I'm
back
saying?
to
It goes
and
back
being
to
very clear.
communication.
Exactly. And that goes
Just be
back to being
clear.
clear on what your expectations are. If you're looking for that partner, say that. If you're looking for the friend. So I agree. This cycles all back to knowing yourself, which we talked a lot about last week. Knowing yourself, knowing your expectations, and being courageous. Because I do think it takes a lot of courage to say, this is my expectations. This is what I'm willing to not do, whether it's for a partnership or whether it's
Mhm.
for a friendship. If they can get down with that, great. If not, you have so much, internal, wherewithal that if it doesn't work for you, you move on.
Right.
Joanne says you have to be very careful. It is a tricky space with friendship these days. You have to test the spirit by the spirit. Oh, that's yeah.
Mm.
You'll know the fruit by the fruit that it bears. I agree with that. Respecting boundaries, very insightful. Thank you. I can't see your name to acknowledge you. Respecting boundaries and privacy without getting upset. Some people
Right.
need alone time to decompress from busy life. Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I just want to say one thing about that because that is like respecting boundaries and privacy without getting upset.
Hmm.
You have to know if someone is mature enough for a conversation. People say all the time, like, oh, I'm in this toxic situation. And I tell them, I don't want to hear that because you know what? You knew that situation was going to, oh, that's Vanessa. Hey, Vanessa.
Okay, hi Vanessa.
You knew that situation was toxic before you went into it. You know what I'm saying? You already felt something. You already seen some behavior. You know what I'm saying? So know that when you start saying like respecting boundaries, if they're not a person who respects they're not going to respect your boundaries. They're not going to respect your boundaries. And if they don't understand that people have lives and they get busy and you have to like, you got to scale back. You know what I'm saying? Like I said last week in the show, I said sometimes I just cut everything off, everybody. And it's like a couple of days I'm not answering my phone. I don't want to talk. I might be on social media. Don't be inboxing me talking about I see you on social media. Because I want to say, like, do y'all know how many people I talk to in a day? You know what I'm saying? Do you know like what I'm doing? I'm up 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Do you know all through the day? You know, I got kids. You know what I'm saying? I want to say all of that to them, but people who are not mature are not going to understand that. They're not, because it's like I'm a baby and I want it right now. You know what I'm saying? I want, and so you have to know who you're talking to when you're stepping into those moments. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And the alone time, that's understanding, like, and I think, which we'll get to a segment of, I forget what week it is, about being singleness and being married. But I think, that comes into spaces, even in romantic relationships, or where if someone's getting off of work, or well, this could work for friendships as well. If I know, okay, I need to talk, but Damasha just got off of work and she been up and then she didn't put her kids to school and then drove them to private school. And I can't respect the fact that she probably needs an hour to decompress, or 2 hours to decompress, then I'm not being sensitive. Or better yet, I could say, and this can be helpful as well, because some people say, well, what are some tips? Perhaps, especially if you have something that's heavy that you need to talk about, asking the person, are they in an emotional space to listen to you right now? Not assuming that people
That's
just
good.
have the energy to take on. So because I just gotta, I gotta get this off my chest. So I'm gonna call Joanne. I'm gonna call them Vanessa, and I know Vanessa's gonna, because it's about me. And then she ain't answer. So now I'm mad. Now
I'm mad at Vanessa too.
She could have just dealt with attitudes all day, but because I got to get this out, I'm mad because she didn't answer. And we got to have grace with people. People have stuff going on, and so just asking someone, I have a lot going on, and I really could use someone to talk to. Again, that honesty, the communication. Are you available right now? Putting it in the other person's hands to think about, okay, this could be heavy. Do I have the space? And that gives people the opportunity to know how they can best support you. Right. So if someone asks me, and I know I've been running around, I might not be the best person for that person to talk to, if depending on what headspace I'm in. And it's not personal. It's just, okay, but if you ask me, I might think, okay, yeah, I can handle that. So I think that's something to think about as well, as before we dump on people, and dump our whatever, asking them, do you have a time to talk? And letting them decide if they have that energetic, because we all talk about energy. Sometimes energetically, I'm so full off of whatever that, I'm moment to moment, just depending on energetically what's going on. And so, I might not be in a space, but then I might be in a space where I'm like, okay, yeah, let's tackle it. So, that's a way to do it, as well as ask people before we just want to dump, and then get upset when they can't give us what we need.
Right. Well, this is our hour, y'all. So we want to be respectful of people's time who's especially watching. We don't want to be holding y'all like we.
Yes.
I ain't gonna say y'all. We just not gonna hold y'all. We got other stuff to do too. But we appreciate y'all listening and commenting. And we'll be here Wednesday at 7. And the topic is next week. What's the topic next week?
What's our topic? I don't have them in front of me. Is it?
Me neither.
I don't have it in front of me. I feel like it's.
So y'all gonna be surprised. I'm not even sure. Look, we ain't gonna even say it because y'all just gonna be surprised.
We'll post it on Facebook.
Yeah, we have them all out. We just don't have them in front of us. Neither one of us right now. But we appreciate y'all for intermingling in, and you can follow both of us. Zip Mouth Motivation, Coach Damasha Katrina on Instagram. I'm probably on every social media in the world. So just look for Coach Damasha Katrina or Zip Mouth Motivation. Is one of the two on everything in the world. Okay.
Yes, and you can follow me on Facebook at Holistic Soul Care, and then Holistic Soul Care Online on Instagram, and we can contact there. Hi, Tawana. Hey, girl.
Is that Tawana? Which one is she?
She said, I love this session. She put her name.
Tawana. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Hey,
Thanks for
Tawana.
joining. Tawana said she was going to try to check us out. So
She
thank you
checked
so
us
much.
out. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. And we about to
Thank you.
end. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Good night.
Bye.